Hi, this is Blake Angelos here at Sweetwater with the next generation flagship synthesizer from Yamaha, the Montage M. Montage M comes in 3 models. For people that play synthesizer, the 61-key Montage M6 is perfect. For keyboardists that need more keys, the 76-key Montage M is ideal. Both the M6 and the M7 feature our acclaimed FSX action, and that's the same action that we had in the Motif XF and in the Montage. It's a great feeling, awesome synth action. Finally, you have the M8x that I have in front of me right here. M8x features an all-new keyboard action called GEX. This remarkable action is really expressive. It just feels great. It takes inspiration from our concert grand pianos and our hybrid pianos. But that's not all. The X in M8X signifies polyphonic aftertouch, which allows you to individually modulate held notes with pressure. GEX also provides really precise key repetition and behavior that's typically found in grand pianos. And let me tell you, this action right here is the finest synth action I've ever played in my life. It just feels amazing. So let's talk about what's new in Montage M, what's different than the original Montage. Well, first of all is a new synth engine called ANX. ANX recreates the warm vintage sound of analog synths. It is our virtual analog engine. It is brand new. It has 16 voice of polyphony, and it can be combined with the other 2 engines. What about the other 2 engines? Well, AWM2, that's our sample-based engine for realistic sounds that you can name, like pianos and brass instruments. What's different about this instrument is, on the Montage, you could have up to 8 elements per part, which means an element is a piece of the sound. It has its own filter, its own EG, its own LFO, and 8 of those can make a pretty cool synth. But now, with Montage M, you have up to 128 elements per part. That means sounds that in the previous Montage took multiple parts to create can now be realized in just a single part. So that's pretty cool. Finally, the third engine is the FMX8 operator FM synthesis engine for modern synth tones. So combined, these 3 engines are capable of producing up to 400 notes of polyphony. That's right, 400 notes of polyphony. So you have 128 notes of polyphony for the preset wave, 128 notes of polyphony for the user waveforms, 128 notes of polyphony for FMX, and 16 notes of polyphony for ANX, a total of 400 notes of polyphony. Now for AWM2 content, we've doubled the size of the wave ROM from 5.67 gigabytes in the original Montage to 9.97 gigabytes in Montage M. So what's new in that wave ROM? There are lots of new orchestral instruments, there are lots of new percussive instruments, just lots of new content. Pianos, electric pianos, all in that new update of the wave ROM for Montage M. Another way that Montage M has been updated is in user waveform memory. It goes from 1.75 gigabytes in the original Montage to 3.8 gigabytes in Montage M. That's twice as much. So let me play a few of the sounds from the ANX engine alone. So everything you're about to hear is just the new ANX engine. This first one is called One of Those PATs. So PAT stands for polyphonic aftertouch. Now, while I play this sound, I'm going to change things using the new real-time controls that we've added here. We have this new 512 by 64 LCD screen right above the knobs, and it just makes it so much easier to get around and edit things. So check it out. This is One of Those PAT. Cool analog pad sound. Polyphonic aftertouch. Check it out. So you can see over here that I have these control knobs. Now check it out. I can easily get to things like filter. The ANX model in this instrument has 2 filters, up to 10 filter types. So it's very easy to get to it right here. You see filter. So I'll play this sound again. So it's really cool how fast everything is. It's right here. I'll show you a few other things too. Let's say that I'm in here and I want to look at the filter EG. But in this case, what I want to do is I want to see it in a little bit more detail. That's what this page jump button does. It takes what's in the quick edit screen and it puts it in the full edit screen, just like that. So I have a few more parameters here. And you notice that if I move it here, the attack, say, you can see in the screen that that moves at the same time. So it's bidirectional as well. It's wherever my hand is. So if I want to edit the attack here, I can use these new display knobs, another thing that's new in Montage M. So I can move the display here. You see it moving here. I'm using this new display knobs. Now these display knobs are awesome because they change in context with the different parameters that I'm editing. They just change. It's really cool, but it's really fast editing. I love that. Now let's say while I'm in here, I realize that I want to edit the effect. So I go to my insert effect, which is a chorus here, and I see some things here. And now what I want to do is move this screen directly over to the quick edit. So I have the quick edit controls. How do I do that? I hold this shift button and I have two of them now. So it makes it easier to go boom, and it takes what's in this page and puts it in the quick edit screen. Now you see the chorus effect that I was editing over here. And I can move over here and edit other things. So I have these two areas where I can do editing. This greatly simplifies the editing process on Montage. So now I'm just going to play through some of my favorite ANX sounds that I found so far. Check it out. So that's just a brief introduction to this ANX engine. It has so many capabilities of creating different types of sound than honestly what I expected to come out of this engine. It's really got a lot of different tone capabilities. Another thing you might have noticed is that when I was moving from performance to performance, that the sound of the previous performance wasn't cutting off. So you have the seamless sound switching in this instrument as well. So that's the ANX engine. Next up is the AWM2 engine, or Advanced Wave Memory. That's our sample-based technology that recreates the sound of instruments that you can name, like pianos, brass sections, orchestral sounds, and so on. There's a whole lot of new content in here. Let me show you how to find this content, and we'll start with pianos. There's so many more pianos in this instrument, so let's find them. So how we do that is, so far you've seen we've been in live set here. Live set is where I can select up to 16 different performances. And you notice there's a new live set scheme here where I have, when I press this button, it turns these buttons blue. And then you can see the categories right here, or rather the different slots in the live set right here. So I can select it here, I can select it in the touch screen, and so on. But now we're going to move over to category search. So I'm going to touch category search here, and you see we have a new category search screen here. So you'll notice that CFX Concert is in the first slot here, and let me just take a moment and talk about that. So that's from the original Montage. I'm going to go over here to the performance area, but you notice that in the original Montage, this was a 4-part performance, where part 1 was the hard strike layer, part 2 was the soft strike layer, part 3 was the area above G where there's no dampers on a piano, and then part 4 was the key off. Well, the reason why we did it that way is because we only had 8 elements per part, so we put those multiple elements on different parts for a single instrument. Well, now if you look right in the top of the screen, it says elements 18. This is the same sound, but in a single part now. This is part of that 128 element capability of each individual part. So things that were a little bit more complex are now neck down and much more easier to use in sequencing, much more easier just to deal with, but it's still the same. Beautiful CFX piano. Love that piano. Now let's look at the other pianos that are in this instrument using that category search. So I'm going to touch category search. Now you see right here, this is the piano category. If I touch attribute right next door, you'll notice that there's certain things that I can search for. I can search for just ANX content if I wanted to, or I can search for just Montage M. So now what we see here are just the new Montage M pianos. So we have a new one like the C7. Very dry, but I can turn up the reverb a little bit using the super knob. Imperial. This is the Imperial, the Bosendorfer. We offered that as an update that you could download with the waveforms and load it into the user memory. Well, now it's built in because it's part of the new waves. Totally different piano sound. Next up we have the Hamburg Grand. This is a German grand piano that we sampled in Hamburg, Germany, a 9-foot concert grand, the Hamburg Grand. You notice that I just moved to another performance, and again, that Hamburg Grand still rings out, so seamless sound switching. Just want to point that out. Another piano that we added is the felt piano. So what a felt piano is, it's a U1 upright, so our U1 upright, that there's a piece of felt that drops in front of the hammers, and it creates this beautiful mellow sound. And it's a very popular sound right now in films. A lot of artists are using this sound because it's just a gorgeous piano sound. Check it out. Here's Composer Felt Piano is the name of it, so it has some cool effects as well. So those are just a few of the pianos that we added to Montage M. Very cool. But that's how you find the sound. So when you get your Montage M, go right here, touch Attribute, touch Montage M, and every place that you go now in the categories, you'll find the new content. New content like this RD78 electric piano. Another cool update to the Montage M is organ sound and behavior, and that's due to the VCM rotary speaker effect. That's a big part of an organ sound. In fact, even a kind of okay organ sound sounds great through a really good rotary speaker emulation. VCM rotary speaker showed up in our YC series on OS 1.2, and it really changed the game for that product. So we had to include it here. So check it out. You may notice that I was changing the speed of the rotary speaker with our new ribbon controller. This ribbon controller is backlit. It has a 5-segment LED behind it so you can find out where it's at. It'll hold, you can sweep with it. Very cool. In fact, this whole section over here has been changed. You'll notice that there's now portamento control with time right here as well. That's a new button. And then this cool keyboard hold button, which at first I was like, I wonder what that's about. All that it does is it holds a keyboard chord that you play, and then when you play the next chord, it will cancel that one out and play the next chord, but hold it, so I don't have to use the sustain pedal. It's great for if I want to play a sound and then use the knobs to maybe edit it. Check it out, it's cool. So that's without keyboard hold. Here's with keyboard hold. It's really useful. Another thing that you want to know is right here, the drawbars. We had a lot of people say, you know, it would be great on Montage if I could reverse the direction of the faders so that they work like drawbars instead of like faders. And we did that. We actually have a mode in here that switches the direction of the faders. So if I pull these down, they function like actual drawbars on an organ. And it gives you that more of that organ experience. You know, we have really great sound designers that design sound for us, and all of them are incredibly good musicians, incredibly good producers, and they all come from very diverse backgrounds. So a lot of them come from the film scoring background and really have a great sense of what that should sound like in today's modern world. We also have guys that are just great keyboard players that their entire reason for creating a sound is to create a produced sound that comes off of like a CD. So when they play live, it sounds like it's the recording because they've done these production things to the sound that make it very cool. So very cool, interesting things in this new content that just is mind-blowing. So let's talk about that film scoring stuff and sort of these modern sounds, especially for things like video game design, stuff like that. The first one I'm gonna play is just called Cinema Action Riser. It's just a riser sound. Just a huge, cool sound. That uses FMX and ANX, so 2 engines, hybrid synth sounds, really cool. Now, I want to show you something about this that's very cool. This is called More Trailer Toys. This is a 7-part performance. This is all using new content. It also gives me an opportunity to show the audition. What the audition is, just like in Montage, it plays a demo sequence that actually animates the super knob, the macro control here, and changes things. So you know what happens and what's going on, what each of these controls do when you play it back. But check out this audition. This is mind-blowing. It's just, check it out. That just blows my mind every time I play it. So let me show you how this performance lines up on the keyboard. Basically, in the low end, we have that cool slamming piano sound that you hear in a lot of action movies. This is right, and then move up here. Now we get some cool timpanis and big bass drums. Lots of awesome one-shots. So cool, so usable. So there's lots of new orchestral content. This one right here is just beautiful. It's just ostinato staccato, so it's just the articulation of the strings. Remember, the scenes will change the behavior of things. So if I play this one here, just a couple of them. 3. That's so cool. So there's motion, and you can actually easily record that, change the tempo so those articulations happen in time. Just a great sound here. Now this one I love because it's just fun to play. This one's called SFZ, so sforzando, tremolo, BPM, beats per minute, sync. So that means I can sync these articulations easily to MIDI clock so it sits up with my song. But check this out. Now that I move through these different scenes, it has different instrumentation, different articulations. So just the strings. Now check this out. Just to point something out, look at the screen. We added this cool little oscilloscope. It's great eye candy. It just looks cool. That's all that it is, but it's fun. See? I love how the brass fades out as you hold it. It's just such a great, amazing sound to play. So you may notice on the back of Montage M, I have my flash drive that I brought my content and loaded it in here. That's what you can do with this. But there's a second USB to device port right here. So why do we have that there? It allows you to connect a USB controller directly to Montage M. So if you want to play some of the sounds with a separate controller, if you have a Montage M6 and you have something that sends polyphonic aftertouch, you can address it there. It's pretty cool. Or drum pads, another thing to have to connect to this. So it just allows you to expand the system a little bit with different gear. So Montage M shares the same USB MIDI audio connectivity as Montage, meaning that you can send up to 32 channels of audio from Montage M to a DAW and return back 6 channels. And a cool thing about this instrument is that there's actually direct control of that right over here. So you have your digital in, your USB main, and your USB assignable return from the DAW right here. But before you'd have to to control the volume of something coming in via maybe a DAW, you had to go in the screen to do it. Well, now you can go right here and you can just turn it on, turn it up and down. So that's a cool thing. But there's even more when it comes to connectivity with Montage M. So let's say you work with a computer and you use something like MainStage or something like that. You can obviously connect directly to a DAW or something like that with the USB audio connectivity and play virtual instruments. But what if I were to tell you that in 2024, we are going to release a VST 3 audio unit version of Montage M free for all Montage M owners. So what does that mean? That means exactly what you think. It is the Montage M as a virtual instrument. So in the first part, we will release a quick edit version that has these controls to edit, and then later on in 2024, we will release the full version. And that means that you can open up Montage M in any DAW. You can control it. You can open up multiple instances and double or triple or quadruple the power of Montage M. You can step away from your hardware instrument and edit sounds in the DAW and then come back and connect them. It's an editor librarian as well. You can share sounds back and forth between the computer and the hardware. It is a game changer. And again, that's coming after the release of Montage a little later in 2024. So there you have it, Montage M. Once again, this is Blake Angelos from Yamaha here at Sweetwater. If you have any questions whatsoever, don't hesitate to contact your Sweetwater sales engineer. Thanks for watching.